Okay, I think we're about to start. I hope everybody's seated and we're about ready. We're almost through March Women's History Month, which to me is March Madness. No different. Anyway, we've had some wonderful speakers, Suzanne Nasrati, Ricky Zuckerman, Sheila Chow, and now fasten your seatbelt for Phyllis Lovett. Phyllis, thanks. Phyllis is a great close to the speaker portion of our March History Month. But don't forget the incredible movies that we have enjoyed. No Ordinary Life about women photographers, the story of Ann Richards, a former governor of Texas, The Good Americans about the assimilation and determination of Asian Americans, and Top Secret Rosies, human computers that stepped up when their country needed them. And one more movie coming up on Friday, Mission Blue, introduced by Jean Little. I know you will enjoy it, and believe me, it's comforting to know that someone is focused on our oceans. It has been spectacular meeting all the women from Reata, Glen who have helped participate in the success of this program. Roberta Waitman, Patty McAdams, Marilyn Silverman, Savannah Wu, Barbara Ryland, and coming up, Jean Little. Please stand up and let's give a round of hands. Come on, stand up. Where are you all? Thank you for your participation. And and for the many volunteers, man, you've seen them every week, coming here early and staying for a couple hours. Yasko Bush, Cindy Mayer, Nancy Kay, Barbara Ryland, Karen Niles, Pat Niles, Marilee Carroll, Billy Weiss, Karen Rose, Susan Hillman, Julie McKay, Ellie Pack, Lynn Terry, sorry. I get to speaking too fast, is what happens, so slow down. Nina M. and Star, and of course Cynthia Weiss. So let's give them a round of applause too. Boy, I'll tell you, I couldn't do this without all of this help. And of course, for Jane Austin and her accomplished staffs, Tristine and Layla, it really takes a village, as well as you can absolutely understand how this month has been. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for helping make this program a big success. And now let me introduce Karen McComb, who will introduce Phyllis. Joanne had a slight accident this morning and she couldn't be here. So Karen has agreed to step in for her. Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm honored to be a stand-in today to introduce to you Phyllis Lovett, my really good friend. My name is Karen McComb. My husband, Denny, and I have lived here for 4+ years, and we have loved every second of living here, mostly because of the people. That's the best thing about Reata, Glen. The people here are interesting, fun, charming, everything that you could possibly want, and friends. They're all such great friends. They're talented and truly wonderful, and this personifies Phyllis for me. I have to tell you how I met her. It's great. Denny and I were having dinner with friends in the Mission Grill, probably being too noisy, laughing and talking, and all of a sudden, standing next to the table was this lovely woman who introduced herself and said she was new, that she knew no one, and she wanted to have fun like we were having fun. And I have to tell you, that just touched my heart. I thought, this woman has pluck. And the next day, I think it was, we had dinner with Bert and Phyllis, and they've been dear friends ever since. She is something special. She not only is a good friend, but she's got glitz and glamour and star power, and just fun to be around and to hear about her accomplishments in her career. but there's a few things that maybe you don't know about her. She is so kind and has a heart of gold. She's the kind of friend that you can count on always. But she's also a very determined person, and one of the things that she did for all of us was be the spearhead of the Glen Heirs. She actually, with the help of a few others, went through the entire Reata register, through the bios, to see if there are people out there that might join a singing group. So thank you, Phyllis, for that. We have seen her do some other fun things here. She was Megan to Dale McGinty's Prince Harry, Dale, and she has sung for us solos, the sultry Santa Baby for Christmas, and also the Christmas Lullaby. She's talented and glamorous and fun, and I'm just thrilled that I'm here to introduce her to you. So ladies and gentlemen, I said I was Karen McComb. I did say that in the beginning. More about me? There's not a lot about me. I love pickleball. I love Reata Glen. I was born in Massachusetts, and here I am. So I think that's it. So let's give a warm welcome to Phyllis Lovett. Where is she? No, you don't need it? Okay.
I didn't want to clump up the stairs there, you know, in my high heels. I thought, oh, I better just squeeze through the curtains instead. Oh my gosh. Hello, everyone. Hi. I was sitting back there thinking, well, I'm not nervous. I'm nervous, okay? I'm nervous. Thank you for being here. And thank you, Karen, for those kind words. I hope you enjoyed the music that was playing when you arrived. It was Burt Bacharach. I was very fortunate to work with him many times, and you'll hear about that later in my presentation. I want to thank Eileen and her Women's History Month committee for including me in this wonderful quartet of accomplished women this month, and I am truly honored, even though Eileen did twist my arm several times. Every woman here has a unique story, and this is mine. I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Mother and father met at the Pentagon. He was the head of General Eisenhower's security, and she was Omar Bradley's secretary. As a toddler, we lived in several parts of Germany for over 3 years, where my father's team was hunting Nazi war criminals. Sounds like a good movie, doesn't it? Heidelberg, Regensburg, Munich were some of the war-torn cities where we lived. And we moved back to the States and lived at Fort Dix for a while, but then father was sent to Paris, France, again with Eisenhower when I was about 8 years old. And we joined him in Paris for a few months, but as life happens, father was having an affair with Eisenhower's French teacher and needed a quick divorce for obvious reasons. And my mother was devastated, you could imagine. We moved back, mother's parents lived in Garden Grove, California, not too far away from here. So off we went to live in yet another town where I would spend most of my childhood. My mother was extremely intelligent, and she was hired for a wonderful job as administrative manager working with several geophysicists at the Standard Oil Company. Mother was Catholic, father was Jewish. Summer vacations were spent with my father's Jewish parents, whom I loved dearly, at their home in the Maryland countryside. You see, my mother was bipolar. Intelligence has nothing to do with mental illness. No one seemed to know what was wrong with her, but my grandmother's diagnosis was, she's Meshuggah, Yiddish for not right in the head and not very politically correct today. I don't think anybody would say that today. Because of their concern for my well-being and wanting to spend more time with me, my grandparents got my mother's permission to enroll me there in Maryland in the 7th grade at an all-girls boarding school in a Catholic convent. In boarding school, the nuns taught us to sing choral music in Latin, and I became aware that I loved to sing. That's me with a horrible haircut. I don't know who did that to me, and my cousin Judy with hair. Moving back to California and not wanting to continue to Catholic school after living in a convent, Garden Grove High, with a large campus of over 2,000 students and an impressive music program, was my choice. Garden Grove was a totally different town than it is today. It was small and it was growing, surrounded by orange groves and strawberry fields. It was nothing like it is today. As a very lonely only child, without a father and a mother working all day, I spent many hours entertaining myself, listening to all kinds of music on the radio and television, jazz, blues, musicals, and my love of singing was growing. That old black magic has me in its spell. That old black magic that you weave so well. Well, with no real formal voice or dance training, but a lot of ambition, a little freshman at Garden Grove High, I tried out for the musical Brigadoon and was cast in the supporting comedic role of Meg. Now, this was a first for the school because up until that point, only upperclassmen were given any leading parts, or even parts, period, in their yearly musical. That's me singing one of my songs. That's the rest of the cast, 2 and 3 years older. They didn't want anything to do with me. I was this stupid little freshman girl. Whatever. I didn't care. Well, I did care, but no, that's okay. Take back your samba, aye, your rumba, aye, your conga, aye, aye, aye. That's not from Brigadoon. That was my 14-year-old audition song for the show. So now at every opportunity, I would sing a jazz band, a concert choir, and various talent shows. This is a picture of me with my dear friend Sarah, who played the piano for me all throughout high school. I think I'm a junior there. And she became quite a well-known concert pianist, and we're still friends. She's been here for lunch several times. I look at you and suddenly something in your eyes I see. I think that's what I'm singing there, I'm not sure. Senior year, unknown to me, 2 of my girlfriends entered my name in the first Junior Miss of Garden Grove contest that was part of the Strawberry Festival. It's now called the Distinguished Young Women's Scholarship Program. You know, it's more politically correct, I guess. Diane Sawyer was Junior Miss America, I think 2 years later. Now, my mother was not supportive and told me, well, as we were driving to the event, probably wanting to spare my feelings, that I had to be a good loser because the other girls were so much prettier. Well, this was not a beauty contest with swimsuits, but based on scholarship and talent. And here's a picture of the girls. Yes, one was homecoming queen, one was a cheerleader. Look at the beautiful long blonde hair. That's me with another bad haircut and a bad hair day. But I won. I won. The look on my mother's face was priceless. Actually, it was a look of disbelief, but that's okay. A few months later, I was runner-up in the Junior Miss California contest, narrowly missing out winning a college scholarship. Well, now graduation was upon us, and my goal was to pursue a business and music degree at Orange Coast College. The summer before entering my freshman year there, I have been cast as Moonbeam McSwine in the musical Lil Abner. Again, a comedic role. There I was in the Garden Grove News talking about my part in the show. And howdy boys, I'm Moonbeam McSwine. Sleeping out with pigs is my line. The fellas admire me, but they don't squire me unless the weather is fine. That's me. That's me in my Moonbeam outfit. Unfortunately, though, life at home was becoming unbearable. Well, I was 18 now, and I knew everything. But nevertheless, my mother's illness was becoming more symptomatic, and her behavior extremely erratic. And it would be years later that she would be diagnosed as bipolar, hospitalized, and medicated. So, because I was so smart and knew everything, my brilliant solution was to elope at 18 with my boyfriend of 2 years, Ron Mitchell. He was 21 and serving in the Air Force. But college days were now over because, big surprise, I became pregnant with my daughter Shelley and a mother at 19. Now, how did that happen? But I got away from my mother, didn't I? Well, the marriage was a big mistake. I suffered mental and physical abuse and was afraid for my daughter. So not wanting to spend my life with a physically and verbally abusive husband, I separated from him at 21, moved into an apartment with a close girlfriend whom I lived with for several years. We're still friends today, and she helped take care of my daughter. I was starting to learn that I had a lot to learn. A divorced mother in the 60s was quite an anomaly and considered by many a character flaw. Now the challenge was, how would I support us without a college degree? Shelley's father never paid child support and no longer in the service. It was difficult then to force his financial responsibility. This was a struggle financially and emotionally. I became a hairstylist, worked long hours during the day, and to earn more money, a singer, actress at the Birdcage Theater, Knott's Berry Farm, Buena Park up the road a bit, with fellow thespian, the Steve Martin. That's Steve in the buckskin outfit with the musket, and that's me here in the green gown. Steve and I were great buddies and shared many activities such as foreign films and political rallies. And when I finally had saved enough money to file for divorce, I was feeling very depressed and frankly scared. It finally hit me, I'm really getting a divorce. Steve drove us to Watts, downtown LA, and walked me all around late at night to observe the poor homeless people. That was really dumb, wasn't it? Watts at 12 midnight? When we got in the car, he said, "Now, do you still feel sorry for yourself?" And I said, "Yes." He was so much wiser. Actually, Steve, whose persona is wild and crazy, was a very serious young man. And he was in love with my best friend, Stormy Sherrick, who was standing there next to me. She worked with us as well. And she also made her own career in gospel music and television. Some of you might know who she is. Well, she dumped him unceremoniously one day, and I don't think he ever got over it. In fact, Steve and I had a private meeting years later in our early 40s at the studio preview of his movie Roxanne, and he couldn't wait to ask me about Stormy. Then again, on a typed note he sent to me in 2008, he had to add in his handwriting before mailing, "Love that photo of you and Stormy." What can I tell you? I think he's, still carrying a torch. In one of his books, Born Standing Up, Steve reminisces about his time at the Birdcage. One of the melodramas we performed was Our American Cousin, the play where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. We were due to open the week of November 22nd, 1963. You got it. Yeah. Exactly that week was when our, tragically and ironically, I still get upset about it, our president, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated that same week. The entire cast, as well as the nation, was in total shock and disbelief. But we had to open this play, and I really don't remember how we did it. We were so upset, grief-stricken, and as I'm sure most of you here were as well. A couple of years later, I was about 25. I think there was a thing about if you're 25, your chances of getting married again, you have more of a chance of being attacked by a terrorist. I don't know how that went. I was visiting my now widowed grandmother living in Baltimore, and I discovered that she was determined to find a nice Jewish boy for me. You know how these Jewish bubbies are. Enlisting her stockbroker to set up some blind dates, I was rather embarrassed and reluctant, but it worked. The third fellow, Louis Lovett, that walked through her door, proposed on our 5th date. Why, you might wonder? Well, I was leaving the next week to come back to California and go back to work, and he knew he had to work fast. He was quite a catch, 32, a business owner, and he also fell in love with my 6-year-old daughter. My Nana was very pleased indeed. There she is. We were married 3 weeks later and lived for a while in Baltimore, but he wanted to move to LA where he'd always wanted to live, and so that I could pursue a singing career. So we moved to Studio City, California, where many members of the entertainment industry lived, and a few of my friends had moved there as well looking for work. I began to audition for singing and/or acting gigs, and the competition was fierce. Sometimes 300 or more would be in a cattle call, as we called them, for one spot. I sang in nightclubs like the famous Horn in Santa Monica, where many singers got their start, Vicky Carr, Jim Nabors, Guy and Ralna of the Lawrence Welk Show. These were some of my audition pictures, and I will sing one of the songs that I sang at the Horn when I closed today's talk, if you're still here. While performing, I used my former married name, Phyllis Mitchell, instead of Lovett because I didn't want to be confused with the actress Linda Lovelace. I knew some of you people would know who she was. Okay, so now you understand why, right? Well, here are a few more of my professional pictures. One was an ad for cooking magic bags that was circulated in many top magazines and newspapers. Well, for that one, I'm a couple of years older there, and I am using Lovett. It says Mrs. Lovett's Instant Chicken Casserole. I didn't really cook, but, well, I was flown to New York and told I had a national television commercial. But then when I got there, I was told, no, you're too young for the demographics they were trying to reach. You're too young and glamorous. Well, I got to spend a week in New York on their dime, and I was wined and dined and went to the theater, and paid well, so okay, that's fine. I sang on several radio commercials. Come out to see a world, come on, get happy. It's such a fantastic place to stay. Come out to see a world, come on, get happy. You'll never have a better day. Maybe you heard that one, I don't know. And this is, I also sang back to a few artists with their recordings. This was on the cover of The Entertainer, which was distributed. There was a story about me in the inside. Love it or leave it alone. I like that. I do. Somebody, I don't know who came up with that, I guess the person who put that thing together. Anyway, then I joined the Unusual We singing and dancing group. This was an album cover. There I am with He and I were the two lead singers of that group. Now, my hair is pretty good there, but I don't know, the outfit is, I don't know, you know, the 70s. We appeared at the Hollywood Bowl with Ed Ames and Hugo Montenegro. There's our name right down there on the bottom, where I was chosen by Hugo to sing a song with his orchestra, the theme from the movie Valley of the Dolls. Wow, a solo with Hugo Montenegro at the Hollywood Bowl. Soon after, I joined the Johnny Mann Singers Stand-Up Mature television show. There's a picture of us performing in New Orleans at the Saints-Rams football game halftime. Really tame compared to today, don't you think? It's almost like we're in church or something. Well, it started to rain right in the middle of our big number, and talk about another bad hair day. My hair was soaking wet. But where am I? Oh, then I did a gig with the Randy Van Horn Singers, whose recordings were played as many television themes for shows like Flintstones, Meet the Flintstones, they're a modern Stone Age family. But my absolute favorite group was The Establishment, where I became the featured female singer. That's me with the long brunette hair, standing on the side, yeah. You may remember us as regulars singing and dancing on the Jonathan Winters Show. Here's a pre-show picture of us then. We were getting dressed to do a tap number with Liberace. I think that's at Caesar's Palace. And then here's a picture of us now, a lot older. That's okay, you know. We're still here. This is one of our reunions. We've had 3 reunions in the past 10 years. We were hired as the opening act for many stars of the era in Las Vegas, Reno, Tahoe, and all over the United States and Canada. That was when women wore jewels and furs to the shows, not Bermuda shorts like today. It was a big deal back then. We worked with, and I'm going to name just a few of the people that we worked with, because otherwise we'd be here all day. Liberace, Perry Como, Burt Bacharach, Johnny Mathis, Tony Bennett, Mac Davis, Ann Margaret, Anthony Newley, the notorious womanizer, the notorious womanizer who was married to the beautiful English actress Joan Collins. Every night she'd pop in the girls' dressing room and she'd say, "Has anyone seen Anthony? Do you know where he might be?" We weren't touching that one. No, we don't know. Then there was Phyllis Diller, Wayne Newton, Bill Cosby. No, he did not drug me. The very sexy Engelbert Humperdinck, who was kept under lock and key, and the not so sexy Woody Allen, Danny Thomas, Bob Newhart, Sarah Vaughan, and Mickey Rooney. I got stuck, and I'm claustrophobic, I got stuck with Mickey in an elevator. We were working with him, and he talked nonstop for 20 or 30 minutes about his career, and when those doors opened, I couldn't wait to get out of that elevator. And then, well, we used to work with these stars many times, not just one time, and sometimes for months at a time. And we also recorded an album in Nashville. Now here's a video where you will hear one of our many opening numbers. It was actually recorded in, I think, my mother's purse, but she smuggled tape recorders in, but that's okay. I'm sorry you're not going to be able to see us dancing, because we sang and danced at the same time through most of our numbers, unless they were very serious songs. But this will provide more information about where we performed.
And now, The Establishment.
Something's coming on, don't know what it is, but it's getting stronger. Feeling my bones, hope you let it last a little bit longer. Taking out my head,
My very, no, that's not, that's the womanizer. Okay. My very favorite performer, very favorite, was Liberace, the greatest showman I have ever known. My first gig with him at Caesar's Palace, I became quite ill with bronchitis. He sent his private physician to my room, who promptly drugged me to the gills so that I could at least join the rest of the performers on stage in body, if not spirit. Lee, as we called him, would dangle his many diamonds and jewelry at the audience and say, "Do you like them? I hope you do, because you just paid for them." Sometimes after our last show at night, he would take me along with one of the guys in the group out disco dancing and then breakfast in the wee hours. A chauffeur drove us in his Rolls-Royce Silver Cloud, which now resides at the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles. I would feel so special sitting with him, drinking champagne in his Rolls-Royce. Yeah, I'd feel really special. And he, as well as other stars, would always have a cocktail party for us at the beginning of every engagement. Well, one time when we were working at Caesar's Palace with Andy Griffith, the hotel sent a full bar of top shelf liquor to our dressing room by mistake. Well, thinking Andy had sent it, well, we heartily partook, heartily. And when our poor manager got the bill, he almost had a heart attack. We opened for Burt Bacharach's debut at the Riviera Hotel and then again at Harrah's in Tahoe. This marquee for Harrah's main showroom featuring the establishment was a fixture. There I am in the red way at the end there. This was a fixture for over 15 years outside of Harrah's casinos, and I have a copy in my den. Bacharach, again with the establishment, set a record at the Greek Theater for the top box office revenue through that time. And I was featured during these performances with my own production number. One time, Burt had a cocktail party for Barbra Streisand, and he invited me and some of the establishment along. Barbra sat down next to me wearing a baseball cap, and I didn't recognize her until I saw her profile. The establishment worked fair dates around the United States and Canada. One was in New London, Canada with Motown stars, and another in Iowa with Paul Revere and the Raiders and Mark Lindsay. Ladies, that week was quite memorable, but my lips are sealed. We also were hired for many television specials as guest performers. The Perry Como television, Christmas specials. I'm sure you've seen many of his specials. Well, we were in a number of them. He was a very nice man. He was a lovely man. Paul Anka and Shirley Bassey special, which was filmed before a live audience. A lot of specials were pre-recorded, but this particular special was in front of a live audience. Miss Bassey kept disappearing to her dressing room and then coming back a little more intoxicated. And Paul was becoming furious. Shirley was wearing an off-the-shoulder gown while singing and throwing her arms up in the air as she was known to do dramatically, and whoops, she fell out of her dress. Live audience. So they had to reshoot that one particular number because they couldn't show that on television. And every time after she was getting to that part, she'd go like this. Merv Griffith had us many times as guests, and he was a doll. Johnny Carson was a little standoffish. Several times we even headlined ourselves, and our opening act was a pair of acrobatic elephants named Bertha and Tina. That's me and Tina. No, I was not part of their act, but the hotels wanted promotional pictures, and I was the only girl in the group that would get in her trunk. She was very sweet. She was a beautiful animal, but I don't know. Anyway, there's another picture, I think, that was a couple of years later. Yeah, we worked with them. So anyway, when it was our turn to work our way down onto the stage, singing and dancing, we could only cross our fingers and wonder, what might they have left behind? Get the picture? Okay, you got it. Now, I don't want you to think that my career was magical. There were many painful disappointments and many auditions. She's too tall, she's too short, she's not blonde, she's too voluptuous, and one heartbreak was being seriously considered for the part of Mary in the LA production of the musical Jesus Christ Superstar. But at 29, she's too old. I'm too young for cooking magic bags, I'm too old for Mary. Okay. I had a bit part as an airline stewardess in the series Survival, starring James Whitmore. And then later in my early 30s, I acted in a couple of B movies of no consequence, but I could put this experience on my resume. There's not enough time to tell you about all the exciting and sometimes not so happy experiences while performing, so I will move on to the somewhat less glamorous part of my life. I was starting to age out of the biz, and sadly my marriage would end when I was 34, and Shelley was now 14. A single mother again, and having to reinvent myself, I became a real estate broker, and for over 40 years represented clients, many of whom were in the movie, recording, and television industry. I don't know if you recognize him. He's that wonderful, fantastic Tony Award-winning Broadway star, Brian Stokes Mitchell, if you've ever heard him sing. William Shatner, Sherry Belafonte, Leslie Nielsen, the Jonas Brothers. Maybe you know who they are, I don't know. When they were very young and they moved, just first moving to LA and becoming famous, their business manager had me find a home for them. Demi Lovato, you probably don't know who she is either, but she's a big pop star. Then I also hosted a fundraiser for Nancy Reagan for her SANE campaign, SANE, S-A-N-E. And here I am with one of the many stars that attended. Ladies, I want to tell you this. He was so nice, so tall, and so gorgeous. But anyway, working long hours with few days off, I was for the most part quite successful in my business. But there were lean years when many realtors gave up and left, and I thought about it myself. Remember that in the 70s, interest rates skyrocketed to 20%, and there was a huge gas shortage. In the 80s, credit crunches and no loans. The 90s gave the San Fernando Valley a huge earthquake, and there was much destruction. And then in 2008, who could forget the great financial crisis? I think we were all probably affected by that. But then we had to navigate the many industry strikes with writers, actors, and musicians. Real estate is not for the faint of heart. But in 2004, fate again tapped me on the shoulder. First, I was chosen Miss Senior America Los Angeles, then Miss Senior America California, and I sang up and down California and some other states as well, in many venues. Then, that was Las Vegas. Then I was a runner-up in Miss Senior America in Las Vegas. That's Miss Florida. She and I were runners-up. And we didn't care that we didn't win because it was a lot of work. Well, I was still working, and I didn't want to have to work and do that too. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I didn't win. And here's a picture of me with my longtime friend, Dorcas Preston, a friend of over 50 years. She was Miss Senior America in 2001 and encouraged me to run in 2004. And then here's a picture of me singing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on a riverboat. I was spotted by a very ambitious producer, Jackie Goldberg. So for another decade, I worked with seasoned professionals, seasoned meaning older. I sang, danced, and acted in 4 wonderful musicals. The girl in the green, the lady, excuse me, she's not a girl. That's Patty Brooks. She was a big disco star back in the 70s. And she and I became very good friends, as well as last week I had another friend that I met in one of these shows who worked on Broadway, and she and I became very close friends. She was here. She was trying to come to this, but I said, you'll never get in. Forget it. So, but yes, I love that picture too. That's me with my mouth open, of course. But when Bert Yaw and I moved here 3 years ago, and Reata Glen was still on lockdown with you-know-what, I found out that there were no singing anything here. I was so disappointed. Bert, by the way, not only helped me put all this together, thank you so much. But he was also my first boyfriend in high school. He was a senior and I was a freshman. That's another story. And I was a freshman. But we re-met 24 years ago, and we've been together ever since. Thank God. Anyway, so I found out there was no music here. So when the dining room opened that March in 2021, I was introduced to a lovely singer, Leslie Milford, and her lovely husband, Bob. And I asked if she would like to help create a singing group. So we started to harmonize softly. I think it was March. But Paul and Aura Kahiwa, also singers, heard us and came over to our table. They said, what are you doing? Are you singing? I said, yeah. I told them what our idea was about forming a singing group, and they said, we have a piano. Come to our home. Let's sing. So the 4 of us went about looking for potential singers who had choral experience and read music. And we found Chuck Ryerson, Charlie Heisman, Kathy Chaikin, George Jackson, John Mayer, Carol Pangborn, who played the piano for us but really wanted to sing. And we hit the jackpot with the talented Joanne Sham, whom I hope is going to have a speedy recovery from her fall. And she became our director. And now, and this is the original group here, and now the Glen Airs boasts 20 members and a non-resident accompanist, David Boyer. And I am so happy, and I think you are too. Yes. This is a smaller group of us that sang at the Orchards. Is that yeah, sang at the Orchards. We can't all fit there. We certainly can barely fit on this stage now. Regarding my family, my mother is, I think I'm talking too much, is shown there with my daughter, Shelley, at Shelley's wedding over 30 years ago, and my mother passed away in 2011. Shelley lives in Ohio, and her daughter, Emily, who just received her MBA, lives in Pennsylvania. So we will be celebrating Emily's wedding this July at the historic Gettysburg Hotel. I hope you've enjoyed my story. I hope it wasn't too long. And I will end by singing a song written by one of my favorite artists, Joni Mitchell. But I might need a stool.